and the Singularity Summit, I take it, coming up in October, if my memory serves.
Let me quickly look up exactly when that Singularity Summit is.
I believe it's in October. Why don't you look it up here? But I just want to know if you could summarize just shortly what you've been up to at the Singularity Institute, and what the Institute in general is going to be, what we can see coming down the road from the Singularity Institute for the next year or two. Some things that we might expect to see.
All right. So first of all, the Singularity Summit is October 25th, 2008. At the Montgomery Theater in San Jose, so
okay.
Everyone should be saving that date.
25th and 26th.
Sorry?
Yeah, 25th and 26th. In October.
Actually, the announcement I'm looking at just says the 25th.
Oh, just the 25th. Oh, sorry about that. Just the 25th. Okay, Singularity Summit. Yes, mark your calendars, and be sure to attend that one as well. Don't get too many great conferences like the Singularity Summit come along every year. So, thanks for that. Now, on to the second part of the question about the Singularity Institute in general and your research there.
Okay, so first of all, the branch of the Singularity Institute that does things like the Singularity Summit is Tyler Emerson.
Okay.
And I'm over on the research branch.
You're the research branch.
And, yeah. So, if you want details about the future Singularity Summit and so on, you'd really have to ask Tyler.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know too much about that.
So drop that part.
Generally speaking, not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
So what I've been doing for the last year is actually blogging on overcoming bias, the raw material for ebooks and probably a future physical book, the sort that you can actually buy on Amazon.
Okay.
One dare soap. And the reason I've been doing that the intent of overcoming bias is not so much have a blog, but rather my brain is willing to write blog posts at a much higher rate than it is willing to write an ebook.
Okay.
So the agenda there was not have a blog, but generate material.
I see, yeah. And a lot of great material there, I should mention. Go to the audience tonight. If you want to go read some great blog posts about bias and artificial intelligence and such things, overcomingbias.com. Sorry for that interruption. Go ahead.
So I think I'm sort of reaching the later part and the punchline of all this stuff I've been doing on overcoming bias, and when I reach that, then it will be time to switch over to compiling it into ebooks and then starting to set up on the popular book end of things.
So that's getting pretty close, you'd say, within the next year or so?
I'd say within the next year, yeah.
Oh, within the next
year. The optimistic part is the notion that it might be within the next month or two.
All right. Hey, that's super. And I just want to remind the... I should stop and summarize there. That's what you're working on mainly right now is overcoming bias and putting that material into a book. And that relates, as well, as we were talking earlier, to your also your research into friendly AI.
Well, the sort of immediate agenda of that is that I think that in general, sort of the case for the Singularity, and to a lesser extent the case for transhumanism, has not been laid out in quite as much detail as it needs to be laid out. So I've been trying to fix that.
Oh, okay.
And that involves going back to basics on quite a number of things, which has very much been the arc of overcoming bias.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like the immediate effect, and hopefully you'll have something soon to point intelligent people at if you want to explain why it is that dying at age 70 isn't a good thing because it's natural. So there's all sorts of direct arguments you can levy at that, but if that doesn't work and you are dealing with someone intelligent and interested, you might want to go back to basics to a much further extent, and that's something I would hope to be able to provide.
Okay.
And the longer-term agenda is this sort of thing gets written up as a popular book, and 15-year-old smart kids read the popular book, and they go on to read the e-books, and then 7 years later they are ready to be friendly AI researchers, assuming they had enough raw math talent.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what a couple of people that are tuning in tonight had mentioned, that that is a good thing here to sow seeds of rationality for future students of friendly AI. And I just want to mention any viewers tuning in at this point in the show that if you have a question or two that has popped up during the course of our conversation here, please feel free to list that in the chat, and I will relay it to Eliezer. And one question that came up, actually, that I think we already touched on for the most part, but we'll just, again, summarize it, review it again. One question that came up prior to the show is someone asking about some of these popular media articles we see about companies using artificial narrow AI, let's put it, but AI that seems to be getting a bit more complex. And this particular article recently came from BBC News, and the title is "British Telecom Injects Life into Its Network." Well, maybe some form of life, I guess, but apparently they're just using more complicated, narrow AI to run their telecom network, their cell nets, and all the the data transfers, and they want it to be self-healing, self-repairing, self-regulating, and all of this. But judging by what we talked about earlier, this really isn't anything close to AGI, in your opinion, correct, Eliezer?
Yeah, and I think you would find that opinion being echoed by most of the AGI people out there.
Oh, okay. So the BT, maybe it's more of a publicity type thing for their company?
That's the way it's been since the dawn of time.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you're not really, it would be pretty rare to find the cutting edge of AI being used to run a telecom system. A hedge fund, maybe, possibly, although my guess is that a lot of the AIs out there are a bit more standard and unfortunately a bit more correlated with each other than one might hope in the financial industry. But if you're building a phone system, you're not really going to want to include cutting-edge ongoing AI research, because then your telephone system will stop working one day.
Or it would be unpredictable, basically. I mean,
no.
If you're BT...
It would crash.
Yeah, if you're BT, well, it might crash. Exactly. Certainly. If you're BT, you're not going to inject something into your network that's unstable. It's got to be proven, and by definition then, if it's something proven that's not going to crash the network, it's not AGI.
Well, you might be able to prove an AGI correct, but that would be often the area of friendly AI. You're not just talking about plain old AGI. We're not talking friendly AI.
Sure. Okay. All right. And a question did pop up in the chat. Thanks for talking about that article there, Eliezer. Someone asked again what you're currently working on. Perhaps someone just tuned in again. And I should just say he is working on putting up a graphic here of overcomingbias.com. That's where Eliezer spends most of his time nowadays. But viewer was wondering if you have a lab, or perhaps it's like most bloggers, you work out of your house, you have a home office, and that's where you do most of your work. Would that be the case?
Yeah, I have a home office. The Singularity Institute does not have physical, rented, expensive offices at this point.
Yeah, I guess that would be the same with the Immortality Institute, existing mainly in virtual space, and it does seem to be a very efficient way to operate, and inexpensive, I would say. So, yeah, currently
I wonder if it would be worth it for us to have offices in Second Life just for the shock value of telling people where our offices. Oh, we're in Second Life.
Oh, sure. Having an office. And does the Singularity Institute have office in Second Life? I thought there was some sort of presence. No? Oh, okay. I thought perhaps there was some sort of presence there in Second Life. Okay. Well, we're coming close to the end here. We don't have any. I haven't seen any other questions pop up. Just some general comments that people appreciate the work that you're doing with Friendly AI and overcoming bias. So I wanted to pass those along. Anything else that you wanted to plug here before we close the interview? As far as, I mean, we already talked about the Singularity Summit, October 25th. Any other conferences, books, any other appearances that you might be making, or any other articles you might be publishing outside of Overcoming Bias? Anything that you